Wow! It's 2 minutes to late night! All right, what's up? Dog food for robots, right?
Yeah.
What do the Beast Wars eat? Do they eat Energon?
I mean, they don't put it in that hole. It goes in a different one.
Is Energon for fucking? Do you fuck? Do they fuck?
Can be. It's whatever you want it, man. 2019.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Megatron always, like anytime he talks about Energon in this show, he's always sounds like it's gonna make him come.
Oh yeah, no, it gets him off for sure.
Ah, yes, Energon. Ooh, yeah, like he wants to be topped by Energon.
This is gross.
It is. I don't know, man. He sounds so horny in this. Folks, this is 5 minutes to cast night. It's just Jordan and Drew. We're talking about Beast Wars. That's the episode.
Yeah, hey, we're talking about Beast Wars for some reason. If Katie and Jeremy can talk about Dragon Ball Z for 7 years, I think we can talk about Beast Wars for 30 minutes.
They have a Dragon Ball podcast, and they're not even doing Dragon Ball anymore. We can talk about Beast Wars.
Yeah. We got 3 seasons of Beast Wars.
Before we get into it, did you listen to a new music?
You know what's funny is I did, but I wasn't prepared because I thought we were just gonna talk about Beast Wars.
Well, we can also literally yesterday was your birthday. What did you do for your birthday?
My birthday was pretty boring. I just kind of did one of those like adult birthdays where you just kind of like have friends get food, and then slowly as the course of the day progresses, you find out who your real friends are and who's gonna feign illness to avoid splitting a tab at a Japanese restaurant. So me and 5 close friends got Japanese food at the end of the day, and
did it turn into 4 close friends because one of them faked an illness?
One of them had to leave early because his neighbor's getting divorced, and he's not taking it very well. I mean, my friend is taking it very well. His neighbor is not taking it very well, and I think truly most of the reason that he's mitigating is because he'll probably have to hear it through the walls.
Yeah.
You know what I found this really cool? My brother sent me this really cool thing called Cambodian Rocks, and it's this album of Cambodian rock music from the late 50s, early 60s. Basically, America was stationed in Cambodia during the various wars, and then they brought their cigarettes and their Coca-Cola, and they brought rock and roll music, and then they left, and everybody in Cambodia was kind of just left with music and not necessarily the knowledge of how to play these Western instruments. So as like the instruments trickled over, they would start recording music, and it's kind of like this weird outsidery art. Like the solos are very much like, middle school talent show guitar solos.
Yeah.
There's no YouTube, there's no books, there's nothing really to learn about how to play guitar. So people just kind of learned it by ear. It's really interesting. It's a really weird little fun album, and if you have a guest DJ in a hip town, I'm sure at some point someone played it for you, and you're like, "Oh, what the hell is this?"
Yeah. This has been played at like whatever Project Secret Robot is.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
No,
I just
never.
know that I know that everyone I know has been there, and I'm like, you literally didn't do anything there. You went there.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a place where people have lied to me about going.
Oh yeah, Project Secret Robot is what we just watched, actually.
Right.
Yeah. I feel that way about. You ever hear about baby castles?
I also have heard of it. It's not real. I don't believe in it. It's like the Magic Castle,
which is also not real.
Yeah. I haven't been invited, so it's not real yet.
Yeah, and truthfully, I don't want to be invited.
If I haven't done anything within, like, I've only been alive in 2 15-year increments of life. So I feel like if I haven't done something in 15 years, I haven't done it ever. You know what I mean?
Accurate,
like, I've never been to the Rainforest Cafe. Yeah, I've never been to the Rainforest Cafe because I haven't been to one in 15 years. So
I would love to go to the Rainforest Cafe.
I wanted to go. We didn't have any time to go in Vegas, but we wanted to.
Oh my God, this is in Vegas. Yeah, that makes sense. The Rainforest Cafe is Vegas for when you're not in Vegas, I think.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's also because there's also one in Atlantic City and then in Florida. And Florida, Atlantic City, and Las Vegas are all the same place.
Yeah. I don't know how to describe it. It's some sort of just like if amusement parks instead of roller coasters, it was smoking. That's what those states are.
Right. Yeah. This is what Las Vegas is.
Yeah, get in line to smoke.
Yeah. It's literally just like what you experience. It's like all of Las Vegas felt like waiting in line for a ride that we never got on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like when parents are like, it's like Disneyland for adults, and that's because adults don't go on the rides.
Yes, it's like Disneyland for adults, as in you can waste a lot of money really quickly on nothing.
Yeah, speaking of me wasting a lot of money, I'm gonna buy the most deluxe version of this new Velotalk album. That new song is so good.
Yeah,
I love it. They're the only band that can release a 7-minute song, and I'm like, this is gonna be awesome the whole time.
Have they announced yet what their deluxe is gonna be?
I don't know. I think I'm not totally sure, but if it has like more music, I'm probably gonna want it.
Yeah, I feel like bands are missing out these days. Like, I feel like they should be doing like the video game deluxe editions, where like Velotalk, it's like a 3-disc set, plus you get it on vinyl, plus you get a living owl, plus you get some beef jerky. You know?
Yeah, I love that'd be great. Yeah, I would love to get a free pet. I also think just if you're in the studio, you should just like do a deluxe version where there's like 3 covers at the end or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just go nuts. Why not? Anytime I've ever been in like a studio, there's always something that doesn't make it on the album that was just really fun and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every album, like every band that I really like too, like there's always 1 or 2 songs on the deluxe that are like, that should have been on the album. It's fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with it. Yeah. Bring it back. Don't put it on Spotify. Put it only on the vinyl. Yeah, it rules. Also, I love that we have like a friend of the show, Ryan Wrigley. I remember people were like, everyone sent me the song the morning of. I woke up to just a million tweets. It was awesome. Thank you for. I mean, I listened to it each time that someone actually sent it to me. I listened to that song like 7 times that day. It was nuts. But Ryan Wrigley, I remember. In one of the posts was like this note. It just was like complaining about the vocals, and just I know that Ryan is. It's so funny because Ryan's the only person I know who still complains about different screamers.
Oh yeah.
Like if a band gets a new scream guy, the second I like turned like 24, I'm like, it doesn't matter. That type of vocal is all the same vocal to me now. Like it's black metal. It's all, yeah. If it's high pitched, you're in. You win. You did a good job.
Yeah, well, it's like what Katie says about how like you kind of become like a sommelier of shitty shit. You know, just like mall screams versus like black metal screams versus Cookie Monster vocals versus my adorable cat opening the door to the bathroom herself. Hey, Courtney.
Good job, Courtney.
That's cute.
Yeah, throw up in the bathtub.
Yeah, shout out to my cat who will throw up in the bathtub on command. Just Venmo her. She's at Team Courtney. Let's jump into let's do this. Let's talk about Beast Wars. If you're here for some reason, you want to hear about Beast Wars.
Yeah. Well, I have a transition. For the Velotalk guy said that he's gonna be taking like a different approach to it because like It like he described the old guy because people are like, are you gonna do like the owl thing? And he's like, no, because that guy was like an owl and I am like a rat. And you know what else has a rat? This fucking show.
Yeah, you know what else has a rat? Non-union construction jobs.
Oh yeah, you know what else has a rat? Every season of The Sopranos. You know what else is on TV? Beast Wars sometimes. Drew, why are we talking about Beast Wars?
Literally, the only reason that we're doing this is because I thought it would be funny. You know, okay, so the parallel of the Dragon Ball Z Beast Wars thing, this is a real thing that happened to me in the gym, which is that I've always seen, going to the gym, I've seen a lot of like shirts that are like, you know, training to beat Goku or training to go Super Saiyan. You know, like I think there is 100% like a correlation between certain people's physique and their love of buff dude anime. It is like a known fact. People work out because of Dragon Ball Z. And I've seen a couple of people also with shirts that say like go in beast mode. And to me, that's the funniest thing in the world, having watched a lot of Beast Wars, and like the thought process of like you're watching a show about a talking rat who's transforms into a robot and his catchphrase is we're all gonna die, and is like I think I'm gonna get buff.
Is that why people have adopted beast mode? Because also beast mode is not what they say in this show when they're ready to fight.
Yeah,
it's when they're like, oh shit, I'm running out of batteries.
Yeah.
I gotta turn back into a horse.
I think it's one of those things where it's like it's misinterpreted, you know, like your Jokers and your Watchmen and people who like don't understand that Rick would hate Rick and Morty fans, you know? Like it's like a weird I think it's completely removed from Beast Wars. I don't think anyone's doing it. But yeah, that's actually really funny. I never really put that together, that like shouting beast mode means that you're going to retreat because you're you're going to die.
It means that you're pissing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pissing while in the middle of a fight. But okay, yeah, I think we should start out with like Transformers is your favorite thing.
Yeah.
In a pop culture.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not the best, but it's like the thing that I've liked the longest and I guess the most, you know? I think for you that's probably Batman, right?
Probably the I don't know. Probably a Spider-Man. I love like a Michael Keaton Batman movie, but I think like overall, like a Spider, like I have the most. Like I have all the Spider-Man movies and the cartoons and I'm a fucking real nerd for that.
Yeah,
I have like every important like Spider-Man comic book that wasn't like printed just written in quill or whatever. Like I have I think that's mine. But I grew up with this, like this was my first introduction to Transformers. Like I didn't know about the car stuff until later.
Oh yeah. See, I grew up, like, I really loved the original Transformers, the cars and stuff, and I, you know, at the time, like, I had a lot of the toys, like the original ones. I'm a little younger because it came out in 84 and I was born in 87, but like my parents and I would go to like garage sales and flea markets and stuff, and so you'd get like older kids' toys, you'd buy them really cheap. So I had like all of them, and then they came back. So basically, like they call the original run, they call it Generation 1, but they call it that like after the fact. Before that, it was just Transformers, and then they came out with Generation 2, which was the crazy 90s Transformers, where they have ones where you can hold them in cold water and the color changes, and also like, you know, crazy hologram colors and chrome and, you know, all this crazy stuff. And so like that brought it like into the stores again, and so you could buy it on shelves. And then there was VHSs everywhere, so you could just like, even though the show wasn't on TV anymore, they started doing reruns, but like you could watch it on VHS. So I was like fully inundated. Like I'd come home every day from like preschool and I would just watch this. And so that's like how it became the thing that I've just always liked. And then I guess Beast Wars came out maybe like 4 years after that. So I was in like second or third grade, and it was just like, oh cool, like more Transformers. I never thought there'd be more. There's more, and they turn into animals. Great. I love animals, you know?
Yeah. That's I think what it was for me is like, I think I probably knew about like, I had older brothers, so I think I probably knew about like GoBots, and like I don't think I was like interested in the car Transformers because I just wasn't like a car kid at all. You know, I think just like that part of it didn't interest me, but I around like when I was like 7 and 8, I was just a weird like museum kid, like, you know.
Yeah, I know.
All of my shirts were from the I was like the kid who had like a shirt with all the different frogs on it.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Beast Wars, I'm like, they fucking turned into frogs. I'm in. That's great.
Isn't it crazy that like you have the best you have the best taste in clothing when you're a child and your parents dress you. You know,
I know, yeah,
because you either look like a little ska band gentleman, or you look like rocks are really important to you.
Yeah,
you know.
I wish that I think my dream now is like, now that I don't give a shit anymore, I can be like a combination of like I want to go back and find my original like frog t-shirt, and I'll wear that at St. Vitus. I don't care.
Yeah, dude. I'm at any given point, I'm 30 pounds away from wearing overalls in public without a shirt. Like 30 pounds up, 30 pounds down.
Yeah.
Rocking it.
I had the only pair of overalls I had as a kid were like overalls that were also shorts. Like, and I don't think there's like any fucking like, I think the only person I've seen who's pulled off overall shorts is Katie.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you wear overall shorts at any point, someone should be able to say, "Hey, give me a toad," and then you pull a small toad out of your pocket.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you don't have one on you, you have to give up your shorts.
You have to take off your shorts and go home. You don't get to stay and not have shorts. You have to go immediately home. Yeah, you gotta have a toad or something. Like you caught a grasshopper.
Yeah.
Like you have to be one of those kids who like catches them on the tall grass. But yeah, I remember watching this show all the time as a kid. This was like I think my favorite cartoons were like Batman animated series, and then this happened, and then this was my favorite show, and then that like this probably turned into like I think Dragon Ball Z came right after that. So like those were the three as like a child. Yeah,
I think this is the first show I remember for children that was like linear. You know, because like if you look back, like in the 80s, like all of the 80s shows, they're all kind of, you know, like villain of the week kind of episodes, you know, like Scooby-Doo, where like nothing matters. And this is the first one I remember with like a through line. And I think actually Batman, I know Spider-Man definitely did, because Spider-Man followed the comics. But I think Spider-Man the animated series that was on Fox and Beast Wars came out around the same time too.
Yeah.
And I know the big thing with Beast Wars, like now I know as an adult, like having read a lot of forums and shit, is that they brought in a lot of the writing staff from Batman the Animated Series to run Beast Wars.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's like, you know, we joke about it because you and I have been like, we got to rewatch Beast Wars, man. It's really well written, and you'd be like, no, it's not. It fucking looks like a bunch of like trash cans fighting with a polar bear. But it does look like shit. But it is pretty.
It looks
well
like
written.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Conker's looks better for sure.
Yeah, I loved it because we watched like the first episode. Like I watched it for content because you have these on DVD.
I do. I've had them on DVD for many years.
I remember when I saw them in a Best Buy once, and I was like, "Oh shit, I should buy them." And then I processed it, and I was like, "No, I shouldn't." And it was at the time when, you know, you bought everything on DVD.
Yeah.
Streaming was beyond what you thought.
What was your peak DVD years, though? Because I remember when you and I lived together, you had like this enormous shelf. You had everything. And that was only like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I used to have it started in high school.
Yeah.
And I just kept like, it kept growing. I remember I like most of it until I moved in with like in my sophomore year of college, I think is when I really started to slow down buying movies, because that's when like the Netflixes happened, and I was like, this is just what it's gonna be. But I still just had everything. I was like, I can't sell these yet. What if one day I want to watch Greenberg?
Yeah,
Ben Stiller.
That was the same thing for me, because I think when you and I moved in together, my DVDs were already gone, because I had hit this point where I was like, I'm on my third apartment where I've moved the DVDs and put them on a shelf and alphabetized them and then never touched them. You know, like you pull out like your one or two favorites, but it's not even with the streaming service. It's just like, most movies, you're really not going to watch them a second time, you know? And if you are, it's spaced out. Like, I don't like to watch something now. I try to wait like 2 or 3 years before I watch it again so that it feels a little newer, you know? But I remember that there was like, when I was younger and I was in high school and I didn't have bills, you know, like real bills or anything, it was like buying a DVD was the equivalent of like you know, like an old married lesbian couple that just has a wall of books. I don't know why they have to be lesbians, but they definitely have to have a wall of books.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Know?
Totally.
It was just like, would you like to come into my foyer? I have seasons 1 through 3 of Reboot.
Yeah. But that was also like when I would walk into like my parents had like a room, like the room that had the books and it had like the shelves and whatever.
Yeah.
I think because now I'm thinking about it, and I remember seeing on the shelf, I was like, we have Faust? And then I also saw on the same shelf, I was like, holy shit, my parents have the Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing with this? And then I realized, like, oh yeah, that's the equivalent of like me still owning like Sin City.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need to own Sin City's awful.
But when
now.
it came out, though, you were like, "This is an investment for now. In the future, I will have this, and people will be able to admire that I own this thing, which I bought at Walmart for $19.98."
Yeah.
You know? My mom is a painter, and growing up, we had big bookshelf covered in my mom's art books. And I didn't realize until very recently, actually it was when I helped her move, that I was like, I've never seen you take one of these off the shelf. And then she was like, I don't. They just sit there, And that's kind of the equivalent. And that's what happens when you buy, like, you have to be the person that owns every season of an Adult Swim show.
Yeah.
You're really going to watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force season 5?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't have the Aqua Teens anymore. What's the weirdest movie you still have, like a physical copy of? Do you think?
Oh, I can tell you because I only have about 8 of them. I have this Ted Leo live DVD. I bought it when I saw Ted Leo live in 2005, and the reason I've never thrown it out is because I've never watched it. It's still sealed, and one day I'll probably watch it. Here's what I can read you my DVD collection really quick because there's not a lot. I have the Hellboy special edition from 2004, which has the 6-hour making of documentary. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Beast Wars seasons 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I love Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It's one of my favorites.
I have never actually seen it. I wanted to watch it so badly as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, my the Blockbuster by my house actually only had the sequel, and I was like, well, I have to see the first one.
You should watch it. It's really fun. It's a really stupid movie, and it's one of those ones that I'm just like, I could throw it out, but I also could just have it for this exact reason. Now, if you were now next time I see you, we have something to do. We'll watch this Cat Killer Tomatoes. Anyways,
I would love to do that.
That's basically it. I have Venture Brothers seasons 1 through 3 just because I can't throw them out. Those are like family relics. And I also genuinely,
the Venture Brothers is on for the longest time was on no streaming services. It's probably on one now.
It's on Hulu still, yeah.
Yeah. But for the longest time, up until like a year ago, like I had to I've shown most of my girlfriends the Venture Brothers. That's like the one, and I won't show them unless they like ask about it, like what's your favorite thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they genuinely get really into it. But I've shown so many people. I feel like the Venture Brothers is the reason I still have some movies, is because I've shown someone the Venture Brothers all the way through at least like every other year. It used to be every year.
Yeah.
Like I showed Sam Nolman the Venture Brothers and like another friend, and the whole thing both in the same year. I watched the entire series.
Yeah. It kind of works out that way because there's a new season every 2 to 3 years, so you're kind of just like, oh, let's catch up and let's rewatch it all. It's the best show. I mean, I really, really do love it. The other thing that I have, speaking of like things I've never watched, is I bought that Venture Brothers coffee table book with all of the making of art, and I'm too afraid I'm going to destroy it. Yeah, it's beautiful, but I'm too afraid I'm going to destroy it, so it's on a shelf, and it's like still like Ziploc wrapped, and one day I'll open it, but I'm just like, I know the second I open it, I'm going to like sneeze in it or something.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, my ex bought me a like John Carpenter photography book that has just like really gorgeous set photos of everything, and I have looked at it one time, and I'm always like, this is the coffee table book, but I was like, I can't put this on my coffee table. I'm gross. I'll ruin the book.
Yeah, who are these people who have coffee tables that are clean? They're definitely not putting coffee on them.
Yeah, no, I put coffee, like coffee has spilled all over. Literally this weekend, my girlfriend and I were like watching Sopranos, and she brought over a teapot. We were just drinking tea, and she just spilled an entire pot of tea over the table. And now the table's white. I didn't know that. I didn't know that like hot water will just like fuck up the finish and just turn everything white. It's crazy.
Yeah, you should see what it does to a book.
I don't want to. I love that book. I think I love that book too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars. The second I started watching, and like a missile hit one of the ships, and just literal squares flew off. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, so the show was made on Game Boy Advanced, and well, okay, so here's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
So Beast Wars, they made the show. It was made by the same animation company that did Reboot. They made it in Canada, and they kind of just like animated off of drawings. So the Hasbro, the company that makes the toys, they kind of went wild, and the toys are kind of different than the TV show. But then what happened was this is the second season. So how do they make new toys? So basically, the plot of Beast Wars, if you don't know, is a bunch of Transformers are leaving their home planet of Cybertron. They get sucked into a wormhole, and they accidentally get sent to prehistoric Earth. So they're on Earth before the Transformers happen in 1984. So they're there like before humans exist. And apparently at that point, their energy source, which is called Energon, there's so much Energon on the planet that they get Energon poisoning. They basically are ODing anytime that they're robots. So to survive the planet, they have alternate modes. Whereas like in the old show, like they turn into cars and planes as like a disguise, robots in disguise. And in this show, it's like protection. They have like kind of like an organic shell that protects them from being poisoned. And then that all goes out the window at the end of the first season. And then because they're like, well, we got to make new toys. This is the only show I've ever seen that's like based off a toy line where people didn't just show up like, hey, what's up? I'm Chrisbot 4000. I'm be here this week, and I probably won't be here next week. Buy my toy.
Yeah, that was kind of what happened at the beginning of this. Because they get shot down.
Yeah.
The ship literally rabbit poops them all out.
Yeah.
Like the ship is spinning, and I was like, that literally looks like a little bunny taking a shit.
Yeah.
And then they crash, and then they just and then they already know what like a cheetah is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
nuts.
Yeah, and they have these things called stasis pods, which are like, these are unformed sparks. Spark is a soul. So imagine, if you will, like an unfertilized robot egg, I guess. And so that's basically like, what is this? We'll find out at the end of the season when it becomes
not in
your
my
favorite
religion, buddy.
Yeah, immaculate conception. Yeah. So it's, anyways. Wait. Oh, Did you watch the first episode, or did you watch Call of a Hero?
Part of the first episode, and then Call of a Hero. Like, you were like, we got to just start recording it. And so it just... Yeah, it took me a while to like figure out how to watch it. But it's the internet. You can literally watch anything for free.
Incredible.
No one cares.
Did you watch the one on Dailymotion that still has like... Yeah, it still has like the VHS like play and tracking on it.
100% I did. It's
so good.
It was a moment where I was like, oh shit. Also, that's the weirdest thing I own on DVD is I have a really shitty like homemade DVD complete collection of the Tick cartoon.
Oh yeah.
because it has it's like a shitty, like a guy didn't have all the color ink in his printer, and he like printed a shitty DVD cover for it. But it was like, and I bought it in high school because they didn't make the Tick on DVD at the time.
Yeah.
And also, not every DVD player can play it.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Dude, I miss those guys. The guys that would show up at like Comic-Cons or whatever and just like have like a table of bootlegs that they clearly spent hours making, you know? So cool.
I think, it was like literally, it looked like so much work. Yeah. I paid this guy like $30 when I was in like high school. So that was like an entire semester's worth of money.
Yeah.
And he mailed it to me. And still to this day, there's just like a bunch of episodes that aren't on DVD that don't exist.
Yeah.
Like my favorite one is when he gets like it's the Tick, and he has like a pet weird like South American rodent, but he thinks it's a dog that talks to him, and it's the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen.
I was just talking to someone last night about how they put Daria and Beavis and Butthead and a bunch of stuff from MTV in the 90s out on DVD. And since then, the like licensing rights have changed. And so it's like all filler music. And it kind of ruins some of the jokes because the jokes are dependent on the music that you can hear, like the music cues.
Oh, my God.
Well, because it's like it's just a DVD that is not, they don't sell that many of those DVDs. Even when it was like, you know, a big deal that like Daria is out on DVD, like they were definitely not selling enough to get the like the licensing rights back from Dashboard Confessional, you know. But I remember like, it's weird to think, you know, we've like there were pinnacle like these moments in our life where it was like this thing is unattainable and we want it, and then you finally get it and you completely forget about it. Like Arrested Development has been back for 10 years, and I remember when like. Yeah. Just even knowing about Arrested Development was like instant social status. But do you remember like going to a Comic-Con or something and seeing somebody sell under the table Roger Corman Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Have you ever seen it? Have you ever watched it?
I've never been able to see it because I never it was always like a thing where I was like, "Oh my God." And I just never got it. I do want to see it.
It's unwatchable.
Sick.
It's fucking terrible. We should watch it and do another episode on it.
I don't know. Comment below if you want us to talk about the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. We'll do it.
Yeah, probably. That's Jordan and Drew commenting below. Okay, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Hey Jordan, you should do it.
We're gonna get comments from Piss Brady and Sexy Woman 9.
But yes, so no, it's fine. So this season though, so that's like, so they did this whole thing where they're like, oh, now we know how to make new toys. We're gonna take everybody and we're gonna upgrade them. They're gonna be called trans metal, and it's like they don't need to transform anymore because they're part organic, part metal or whatever. New toys. But the thing about it that's really interesting is that the models are exactly the toys, like because they were designed like hand in hand, and so they look like shit. They look like a toy from 1996. Like there's in this episode, there's like a scene where you can see tarantulas, and you can just like tell there's all this empty space because he's a toy that's supposed to cost $9. It's really it's really funny. It's just like a weird thing that I noticed this time watching it.
Yeah, no, that's what I noticed too. Is because I watched the first time when I watched part of the first episode, I thought it was funny that the robot forms already kind of looked like animals before they did the scanning thing. Yeah. And then I thought it was really first of all, it's really funny how like badly the cheetah wants to fuck himself when he first turns into the cheetah. Yeah. He's trying to kiss himself in the reflection of the ship, and I'm like, this is nuts. Did the writers want the cheetah to be? It was alright. It was also just that weird time where it's just like they're animals and robots, but there's like tits. Yeah, on a robot. Yeah, spider.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
It's this weird thing of like, we're gonna do what they couldn't do 10 years ago. Like, we're gonna add story and elements and logic, and then it's like, well, hold the phone there. The more that you reveal about this, the more you might have to explain why a rat sounds like he's from the Bronx.
Yeah. That was, dude. The voice acting in the show is sick. It's really good.
Oh yeah,
Everyone's
it's great.
really good in it. Weirdly.
Yeah, it's it's good. But then it's like, okay, so we're doing the reason we did Call of a Hero is because it's considered like the best written episode of the show, maybe one of the better things of children's television. And basically, the first like 10 minutes is a robot dinosaur walking around holding a gun, trying to find nice ways to die.
I know.
It's just, he's just like, well, everybody hates me, so I got to die right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
Can you do the voice? Okay, so the voice is acting is
I
good.
I can probably do the voice,
but it's really distracting because you can't understand what he's saying.
No, I'm cancelled.
Yeah, yeah, it's the voice.
I've been cancelled, and there's 7 people on the planet.
It's so stupid, but because that's the guy. The whole episode is about Dinobot, which also his name is Dinobot. Like everybody else has like a clever name,
or at least sort of a clever name. Like it's like an animal that sort of sounds like a robot, but they couldn't. They were just like Dinobot, and then someone in the room was maybe like, but also Megatron's a dinosaur. I don't know. Fuck off, Terry. We gotta move on.
Oh, Terry, you think you're so good because you wrote for Batman. Fuck you, Terry.
I only wrote for one of the off episodes of Freakazoid. This fucking asshole.
Oh my god. Yeah, the fucking voice. So his name is Dinobot. That's his voice, and he has like 20 monologues in that voice. It's like watching like Mr. Magoo do Shakespeare. It's really weird.
So fucking weird. Just no chill at all. Just it's really nuts.
Yeah.
Just like him. Just I would like to watch like I want to see like a Noah Baumbach movie with Dinobot just like really depressed.
My wife is leaving me. And I'm not allowed in the library. What do you mean this is a Pink Floyd song? I wrote this myself.
He's supposed to be Starscream, right? Like that's the parallel character. Because they all have parallel characters to the other Transformers.
Kind of. Well, like Starscream's thing was always like he really wanted to be the actual leader of the Decepticons and like throw over Megatron, and then
isn't that also that's also in the first episode? That's what Dinobot wants.
That's what he wants, and then they make him better, and he realizes that he doesn't want to like destroy the universe. He wants to be like an honorable warrior. There's kind of like a weird parallel that they try to do of how like the Decepticons were like thrown from their home and they lost their planet, and they are kind of like held underfoot by the Autobots. But at the same time, it's a lot like that Mitchell and Webb look sketch where it's like, are we the baddies?
Yeah.
Our caps, they have little skulls on them.
Yeah. So that's also I'm pounding candy canes. I'm just eating.
Where'd you get candy? It's December 2nd.
Dude, it's already Christmas here, man. I got these organic candy canes. They are very good. I still have diarrhea, but they're organic. I think I've had like 8 since we started.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm like, I think it's because I literally also just ate a piece of pumpkin pie. So I'm like, what are you doing? It's still the orange month. But also at my office, it's like an open office, and like my boss was trying to play Christmas music, and I had to just like walk up to her and like I just spewed too many excuses about why it needed to stop. I was like, listen, I have like PTSD of like from like working in the mall as like a teenager, and also I'm like a Jewish vampire. I don't like, it was a lot. I'm not ready for Christmas yet. But yeah, so they're just like, they're like making a parallel refugees, trying to do an X-Men thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of more like the Decepticons are Israel and the Autobots are like Palestine. If Palestine had a leader who was voiced by Gary Chalk, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
a Zionist.
this sucks.
Oh my God. The Megatron voice is great, but it is like I just can't get over how just like horny it is. It sounds like a guy, like how I imagine like a guy getting ready to be dommed.
Yeah.
But confident in it.
I think it's kind of cool. I think like that's the thing that I do kind of like about Beast Wars is that you've got like this big, strong, gay Megatron, and then you're like the Optimus Prime. The Optimus Prime, like in the old show, it was like the bad guys always had to do
Some kind of variation of this,
and then
they sounded like a snake that smokes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But like I don't know, it's cool that they did that, and I like that like the Optimus Prime in the show is like instead of sounding like the Marlboro Man, he just sounds like some guy that like your mom would trust you with.
Yeah. I'll have him home by 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of cool, especially because if you look at like '90s stuff, it seems to be like even more of an exaggeration of that.
Yeah. I like that. There's the little Brooklyn rat, and then the cheetah is just whatever you think like Robin and Batman sounds like. Just like every person who's ever been Robin sounds like that cheetah.
Yeah.
The cheetah just sounds like Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
Or some shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And then so basically this episode is like a key point in like I think this is one of the reasons why it's people still really like it, is that it really ties together like the old mythology and the new mythology, especially considering like the original Transformers, no one really thought like there was going to be like a running storyline that's going to last 35 years or anything like that. Because I've been watching Watchmen. You've been watching Watchmen also. Yeah. I love it. I really thought I was going to hate it. I really thought I was going to hate it.
Me too, dude. I was like strapped in to be like, ugh, because I hate everything. I hate every show nowadays.
Yeah, dude, totally. Everything sucks.
Everything's really bad. Hot take: The Mandalorian is garbage. It's a really bad show.
It's fine. Like I'm not a Star Wars person. I don't hate it. Yeah. It's just like it's pretty. I like Baby Yoda, which is weird because I hate Baby Groot. Baby Groot can fucking drown in a pool. I do not care.
I like a Baby Yoda. I just like there's just such a by the numbers to it that I was like, what is the point of even watching this? Like, it's just Star Wars is already like struggling so much to not be by the numbers. They have to fight to get that shit out of the norm.
But it's numbers that they haven't really done for Star Wars. I mean, I'm not a Star Wars person. I really don't care about Star Wars.
Same.
But
same.
It's kind of cool that Star Wars is getting a TV show because they never really did this before, and I think that that's an interesting thing. And like, I don't want to like dissuade any. I think if you like Star Wars, I think that's great. Like, I wouldn't.
Yeah, totally.
I wouldn't. Like, kick you in the face. You probably would kick me in the face.
We are literally talking about Beast Wars. We can't fucking shame anybody for liking
no, of course not.
The most popular nerd thing in the world.
I will say this though, there is no toxic Beast Wars fandom. There's no one right now. Yeah, there.
Oh man, it's one of those fake Beast Wars girls.
Me and Katie are getting a divorce. I just found out that she only likes Air-Razor, the female.
She's a fucking Scorponok poser.
Ugh. But yeah, Star Wars is, there's so much fucking Star Wars. There's so much Star Wars everywhere. Those movies are never going to end.
Oh, totally. But with this show, I thought it was going to be, when you find out that Werner Herzog is going to be in it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm strapped in for something like weird. I also had already started watching like I think I was on like a Watchmen high.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw everyone like flipping out about the show. And then I watched it and I was like, this is, I also, it was like, this is weird. It's also just kind of ugly.
Yeah, it's an
like,
ugly show.
It's really, it was, I found myself like having a hard time actually looking at it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if it was like a frame rate thing or a rendering thing with the effects. Like, first I was excited. Like, I loved that walrus thing that came out of the ice.
Yeah.
That shit ruled. But then, like, I don't know. When I saw him, like, trying to do, like, to train a fish that has fucking knees, it was like, I can't do this. It lost me.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why I don't like this, and the reason why I think most Star Wars isn't good, is because the first Star Wars movie is basically like, hey, we're in space, but for some reason people are British, and for some reason we're reusing a lot of World War II props from like movies that were hanging out in the movie set. And one of these robots is literally just a guy with a garbage can on his head. And it's never explained. It's never, ever explained, and it's just like, whatever, we'll do another movie. And in that movie, we're not going to explain it. Just now, suddenly, there's little Care Bears on another planet that will kill you with spears, you know? Yeah. And now I feel like what's happening with Star Wars, and, like, this is the appeal of The Mandalorian, if other people like it, is that, like, you know, they're like, hey, remember that little thing from Star Wars? We're going to give it a backstory. And that's like, people love Boba Fett because Boba Fett was like this guy who just showed up. He has about 3 minutes of screen time and then he dies. And now there's an entire TV show about him. And I think that takes away everything interesting about him.
Well, he's not Boba Fett. This character isn't Boba Fett, is it?
No, but Boba Fett was a Mandalorian. And I don't know if they explain that in the movies or not, because I don't remember, you know, the specific, like, you know, details of Star Wars. I'm sure 100% I'll be corrected for this, but like that, all of this like Mandalorian lore and like what his people are and how they never take their helmet off, like that was added in years later with, you know, comic books and video games and the prequels and Clone Wars and all this stuff. So now you have this kind of like mythos, and I think honestly, like, a mythos is dangerous because it kind of gives you a set of rules that you need to follow and you don't make really interesting new stories. That's why I think The Mandalorian is really boring. I don't think there's anything new about it. Whereas, like, the reason why Watchmen is so good, and the reason I would truly love to know if anybody likes Watchmen who's never read the book, but like, oh my God, every single detail of that book being expanded upon, and not like taken and then being like, hey, do you want to know why, you know, why Rorschach wore red socks? Well, this is why. You know, it's kind of like what happened afterwards. It's a true proper sequel of like, what would the world be like after Watchmen, and also how is that a parallel with the world that we're living in now, since the original Watchmen was a parallel. And Star Wars is just kind of a story about a guy who kisses his sister and then they never talk about it again.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's also like, I agree. I love everything that they're doing in Watchmen because they are finding a way to just do, because that's also what Watchmen is. You can do something like that with Watchmen because the original book is like, you know, in 7 different timelines. Like, so they're also finding ways to do really small pieces of the, like, of the actual book amongst what they're doing. Like, I feel like, when you first start watching the show, it's probably really confusing. Like, for me, I didn't read anything. I didn't know that it was going to be, like, a sequel to it.
No, I had no idea.
I thought it was a reimagining, and so I was just like, I guess Damon Lindelof hates therapy. I don't know. But then
that's true. He does.
Yeah, but then they start like building the rest of the story with it, and you see like the squid. You see like Adrian talking about the squid. I feel like slowly, it's gonna be like, I feel like if they do other seasons of the show, it'll be like I'm trying to remember, like an episode of television where they're doing, or like it's like that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where they're doing the Seinfeld reunion,
right?
You know what I mean? And you see the actual episode of Seinfeld that they would have done, but in pieces. Like, you see pieces of it on the screen on the set. You see pieces of the episode when they're just doing like a table read. So you see like the anatomy of what a genuine Seinfeld reunion would be, but without actually you're seeing it expanded upon.
Right.
And I feel like eventually, maybe in Watchmen, they will put the pieces of the actual original story together, but spread out across like seasons, which is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good, and the reason that that reminds me of Beast Wars is because Beast Wars is kind of the first thing I know of that's like a sequel to an existing property like that, you know? Like, it's kind of the first one that I can think of, other than like, you know, Spider-Man, only because they had 30 years of comics to work from. I can't think of any cartoon that did that, especially since most 80s cartoons were just to sell toys. Not that this isn't, but I feel like they put a little... This is the first time I think they let people get a little more creative with it, which I think is pretty cool. Is it also because, like, do you think they have that much creative freedom because even this type of animation was really cheap back in the day? It wasn't cheap. It was really expensive, actually. That's the craziest thing about it, is that I think weirdly enough, like, the novelty of the animation wears off pretty quickly. And it really kind of, maybe, I don't know if they saw that happening, but they definitely were like probably trying to pull in a little bit of an adult crowd. You know, if you think about it, like the show came out 10 years after the original, probably like 12 years after the original. So, you know, people who watched that show as a kid now are in college. There's still a chance that they could be going for like, you know, the college age people. To trying to get a more adult audience by making the writing more interesting, the voice acting more interesting. But I mean, I remember it when I was a kid thinking it was the coolest looking thing I'd ever seen in my life. So I don't know. My judgment on it is a little bit skewed. Yeah, no, I think it's I mean it's written like a children's show. I don't think it's not written as good as like a Batman the animated series, but there's a distinct difference between the quality of the writing in the first episode and what is going on in the samurai code thing. And when at the end when he dies and he has his nice little monologue and then his little soul flies off to heaven and then they burn his body, and it really fucked me up as a kid. I remember just being like, is that what happens when you die? Your friends put you on like a castle from Riven, the sequel to Myst, and then you dissolve. Yeah, you die in a treehouse. For me, it was comforting when I saw it because I was like, man, that seems so much better than getting fucking buried in the ground. It definitely was like, I think I turned to my mom and I was like, I want to be cremated. Yeah, there's a weird thing where they do, like, first we confirm that he has a soul, and then the body gets destroyed. Yeah, well, I think they had to do that kind of thing because it was, like, right around that peak time, like, when, like, you know, they brought back Superman after killing him, and like which I think everything started with like Jean Grey coming back after the Dark Phoenix bullshit. So I think there was like a trend, you know, because all these dudes are comic book nerds. Yeah, I think they were like, we gotta burn the body, or people are gonna think this guy's coming back. Yeah, like, yeah. That had to, yeah. I think like that's kind of the move. And then he does come back, though. That's the other thing. Dinobot comes back. That's really? Yeah. I guess I didn't watch that part. No, it's like it's the last season. It's all off the rails. We don't have to go into it. Folks at home. Why does everyone else in the show looks like they were made in a penny squisher? Why doesn't Dinobot? Why doesn't he have why isn't he a true Transil rebel? He was just one of the ones that did not get exposed and get mutated. So the like Rat Trap changes bodies like a couple of times. Cheetor, you know, he is the more popular characters, but like the Rhinox, the entire series never changes, and they still make toys of it. Like there is like a Transmetal Rhinox toy, but it never happens in the show. Throughout the show, he stays the same animation model. Why that happens, I don't know. Maybe it's cheaper. They didn't have to make new models. That's probably the reason why they did it. But yeah, he's so basically in a few episodes down the road, Dinobot comes back. They basically like put his spark in another body, and he's like another. But this time he's a bad guy again. Yeah, me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the? Is he? He's. It's a different body though. Is he a sweet transvestite then?
Yeah, he is.
Cool.
Yeah, he's he's Sweetback's transgender song. We can't say that.
Two coffins for sleep.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it did seem in the episode to have like they were trying to do, they were trying to make the stories connect and stuff, which is really funny because it's literally a dinosaur with a gun walking around. Like you were right. You're right. That's the weirdest image in the entire world.
Yeah, and I don't remember that part. I remember it being a dinosaur, and I remember them being like robots, but that is a dinosaur walking with a gun, which should be cool. I think it's kind of like Zardoz. That's what it reminds me of. Where you're like, oh, Sean Connery and a gun. Why is he dressed like that? Yeah. Why does he look like he sells Bavarian pretzels?
He's dressed like Electra. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Kiss me, Ben Affleck. I thought it was. It's also weird how I think in the animal. Did they redesign them also because like, even in the animal forms, like all of them had like really weird chunky bodies. They couldn't get like the head when they would transform into the robots. They're like, man, all the animal parts look so fat.
They all transform into fat animals.
I know.
You and I had the same screenwriting teacher, Jordan, and Joan.
Yeah.
And in TV writing class, we had to pitch our own pilot, and I pitched a pilot that was just called The Amazing Fat People, and it was about superheroes who were fat. And that was the pitch. Like, that was literally the pitch that I said. I'm like, it's The Amazing Fat People. It's about superheroes that are fat. And she was like, is that it? And I was like, yeah, it's funny. They'll be really fat. And she screamed at me for so long. So long.
That is such a fucking Drew in college idea.
Yeah, it's not much different from a Drew in adulthood idea either, but I just think fat superheroes are really funny. I'm fat, I can say that.
Was that a Freakazoid episode?
Oh, probably. I feel like every idea that I had in college was a subconscious theft of a cartoon that I watched. Like, my second year film was pretty much the plot of an episode of SpongeBob, and I didn't realize it until after I was done. I've done that a lot, yeah.
You did you do Squeaky Boots? But
no, I did the procrastination episode. I did a movie about procrastination, and it mostly was that episode.
Awesome.
Yeah. Want to wrap this boy up?
Yeah, we can. I feel like we haven't ripped on this enough. It fucking is. I love it, but it is the ugliest show ever made. It's also like, damn. It's amazing how much time and energy has gone into just like making. It's like people screamed at each other in writers' rooms and like ruined, careers and went bald, screaming over the logic story over like a car turns into a robot.
Yeah,
like, so much like there was a cartoon show that they tried to make sense to sell these toys. It's all about toys. There was a fucking Michael Bay movie. We got to talk about the Michael Bay movie, right?
I guess so. They suck. They're terrible. They're
They're terrible. But that was like, I remember that was the moment. I think that's the most like shocked I've ever been in a movie theater about like something that was going to happen, because I didn't know they were making a Transformers movie until like the weird Moon teaser trailer.
Yeah.
And then it said like Transformers, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, okay, well, it's going to be so far. There's not going to be an Optimus Prime. I was like, it's just going to be like a bunch of robot. I thought it was just going to be like a bunch of Johnny Fives that turned into soda. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck can this be? And then I think I was excited for the existence of that movie because I didn't really understand who Michael Bay was. Like, Michael Bay hadn't done a movie since The Bad Boys, and I like
Pearl Harbor. I remember distinctly. I remember
right.
Michael Bay doing Pearl Harbor and South Park doing the song about how he completely missed the mark. You know,
right?
And I was like, oh, that's the guy who's doing it. Well, I think it came out the same summer as Spider-Man 3, so it was the same summer that I realized I'll never be happy.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing about it was, you know, like looking back at that movie, they were like, you know, it's not for kids, it's for adults. And it's like, how do you make an action movie for adults? Is you make it kind of lowest common denominator. And so it's really like in the same realm as like a XXX State of the Union or some bullshit, you know? Like, yeah. I don't really know how you do it right. I don't think you can do it right, except for maybe actually make it for children and let children enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea what to expect. I just remember seeing the trailer and being like, fucking hell. Yeah. They're going to make... I was like excited because I was like, they can make anything now. And now they've made everything. And I'm like, that wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember like seeing that, like those fight scenes and thinking it was the most amazing thing ever. I was like, oh my God, this is like the pinnacle of technology. And then they were like, they did it so well on the first one. They were like, how do we one up this? They're like, more robot fights, more everything. And I've seen them all except for the fifth one. And by the third one, it literally just looks like a whole bunch of like recyclables floating around in the wind and like, I'll kill you, you know?
Yeah, it looks like they just took out chunks of like the end of Toy Story 3 where they're all going into the where they're going into the fire pit.
Yeah, it looks like the fire pit is fighting with another fire pit. That's like what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen. I remember that one year on your birthday where we got like back when you used to drink, we got really fucked up and went to like an 11 a.m. viewing of the cartoon Transformers movie, and then immediately went to go see the Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. But that was the funniest thing in the world was it was me, you, and my friend Chris, and we went to the Mark Wahlberg movie. And this is like in the afternoon, so there was only about 6 people in the theater. It had been out for a while.
Yeah.
And we were screaming at the top of our lungs. We were doing Mark Wahlberg impressions. We were doing all sorts of stuff. And that's
Are you throwing a car at my daughter?
Yeah. You let my daughter near a robot? You let my daughter go near a Transformer?
She's going to kiss that robot. Not on my watch.
That movie's 3 hours long, and around hour 2, minute 30, like after they killed Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah. I forgot Kelsey Grammer's in that movie.
Yeah, after that, and I still feel a little bad about this, but not like really bad, or I wouldn't be telling it on a podcast. This woman just walks up to us and just goes, hi, excuse me, can you guys please be quiet? I'm trying to watch this movie. And I think you two shut up. And then I just looked at her and I just went, no. If you wanted us to shut up, you should have asked us 2 hours ago. No. It's been 2.5 hours. I'm not shutting up. I'm sorry.
I agree with you, though. Like, there's 6 people in the theater. It's this movie. What are you talking about? We just saw. I remember seeing like the voice of Frank Welker turned into a machine out of like he turned into a Nintendo Wii out of like cubes. It was ridiculous.
The only thing that I like vividly remember from that movie is that Mark Wahlberg's daughter is dating someone older than him, and she's a minor, and Mark Wahlberg is just like, I'll call the cops, it's statutory rape, and he's like, oh no, it's not, actually there's this thing called Romeo and Juliet laws, and then he pulls out a laminated copy of the law that allows like a 20-year-old to date a 17-year-old.
That happens?
That really happened. That is actually a scene in the movie. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
I was really I remember just like real bits and pieces of this because this is back when I smoked a lot of weed. I wish I remembered like more bits than just like like, are you going near my daughter?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that a guy had a laminated. God, that's gross.
It's fucking gross.
What a gross fucking man.
Yeah. Which is weird
Jesus.
because like now that I've like removed from these movies, like I think the first one came out like 13 years ago, like there's a way to make a movie that is like appealing to like a broader audience and make it funny without getting like weird and rapey and shit like that. Like I just watched Wild Hogs starring Tim Allen and John Travolta and William H. Macy and Martin Lawrence as like a motorcycle gang, and it's unusually funny. Like it definitely was like a bad script that like they hired some comedian to do like a rewrite on, and then he was like, I'm just gonna write the dumbest jokes and they're gonna give me notes back, and they're like, no notes, this is what we're doing. It's really funny. Like it's like I
want to watch it.
It's really funny. And then
that bird thing you posted is genuinely so funny.
John Travolta fighting a bird on a motorcycle. Also, Ray Liotta is the bad guy, and he has like a neck tattoo, and he looks really hot. It's really funny.
I always thought that Ray Liotta looks like an evil version of who's the bad guy in Wayne's World? Rob Lowe. He looks like evil Rob Lowe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't. Oh, did you see the John Cena Transformers movie?
Bumblebee? Yeah, it's fun. But that's the thing is that like that's the movie they should have made from the beginning. It's for kids. It's for kids.
Is
and
it
it's
for a kid? Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. I think everybody should kind of see it. It's a little like nostalgia heavy, but it kind of has to be because it's like coming out in the same year as like Stranger Things 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. It's fun, and they also were kind of like. Apparently, it wasn't doing great in test audiences, from what I heard, because it is really for children. It's not for adults. So they added in like 20 minutes of stuff on Cybertron, and they were like, "Look, it's all of your favorite robots." And instead of them looking like like a tuna can that got like thrown through the garbage disposal, like they look just like your old toys. And you're kind of like, "Oh, well, that doesn't really work well. The light doesn't bounce properly. It looks weird." But it's
probably.
It's cool. I think, truthfully, I honestly think Transformers are just unadaptable to movies. It's just not interesting. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like I would never be like, hey, like I love Transformers. Transformers are I have a huge shelf of them, and I have the tattoos. It's cool. It's just a thing I like. I would never be like, hey, you should watch this. It's good. And I think that's actually one of the things that Star Wars gets wrong a lot, is that they're like, it's good. It's not good. It's Star Wars. It's okay to not like it. It's totally cool to not like Transformers. It's definitely cool to not like Beast Wars. It's not a thing that you should like, but if you do, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, it's people trying to excuse themselves from like, you just like a laser sword. That's what you like.
Yeah,
that's it. You like a helmet that looks like a robot skull, and you like a laser. You like comic book artists who drew shit from like from that Dune movie that never got made. Like that's what you like.
Yeah.
You don't like this guy. Like I rewatched I hadn't seen the original Star Wars since I was like 6 years old, until like before the last, what's the first one that came The Last Jedi, that's the first one that came out of the new ones.
Why can't I remember this?
I don't know. The first one.
The first
one comes out. I rewatched the original 3, and like the second one's the only one that's like a movie.
Yeah.
The rest, the first one is like them really figuring it out.
Yeah. And I think that's cool, honestly.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
It's totally cool.
Because like, you grow up and it's always like, kids are always like, oh, Star Wars is better than Star Trek. And it's like, nah, Star Trek is like we've got Star Trek is like, we've got logic and we've got reason, and wouldn't it be interesting if this happened? What about this world where this happens? And then Star Wars is just kind of like, hey, I'm a badass. I'm gonna shoot this frog in a bar. You know?
Yeah, I like. My family's the best family, even though we fight all the time, and a lot of people are affected.
Yeah.
But we're the best My family, I got a laser sword, you asshole. Like, it's really just.
You don't even know it, but you just did an impression of Ray Liotta in Wild Hogs.
I want Ray Liotta in Star Wars so badly.
He'd be really good at it. This is my planet.
Asking too many questions, you are. Ray Liotta as Baby Yoda.
But he's also like
Baby Liotta.
He's like 1.5 feet tall. The child seems very happy here. Hey, you guys got gabagoo?
Hey, it's been about 3 days. Who's got a cigarette?
Plugs.
Oh, sorry, I'm Yoda. A cigarette can I have or whatever?
Plugs. Let's go to bed. Plug it.
Let's go to bed. All right, folks, follow 2 Minutes to Late Night. I don't know what this episode was. I hope this was just so that you and I could yell for about like an hour and a half.
Yeah, we had to work out some shit. There's a new Pizza Time sketch. If you haven't seen it yet, it's called Robert Goes to the Beach.
It's so funny.
Jordan has a little cameo in it. You can figure out who he is. Check it out. Sam Nolman, me. Yeah.
It's great. Dude, Sam with wig eyebrows is the funniest thing in the entire world.
Oh yeah.
Cuz he's got that like Michael Keaton thing but with giant eyes, so it's just eyebrow acting.
Yeah.
And you really see it, like, because he's just wearing 2 beards on his eyes.
Yeah, there's some really fun outtakes from that. I'll post those eventually.
Yeah, they're really funny. I love that sketch. Guys, go to honorableswords.com. That's where you can subscribe to the Patreon, buy merch, watch every one of our videos. We're going to have some stuff coming out next week. Next week. Yeah, that would make sense. I'm trying to figure out the timeline of when this comes out. And yeah, that's it. I don't know, man. Fuck Energon if you want to. It's 2019. It's the end of it. Fuck Energon. Goodbye.
Beast mode.